The American Federation of Teachers is the premier education organization in Corpus Christi, Texas. We are a family of professionals with state and national affiliations, including the Texas AFT, AFT, and the AFL-CIO. CCAFT represents teachers, librarians, counselors, paraprofessionals, bus drivers, and maintenance workers. Our main concern is the well-being and public education of our children in the Coastal Bend. CCAFT is producing this program to keep our community abreast of educational issues during the 2013 legislative session and to highlight the good news in our local public schools. CCAFT is the only educational employee organization in Corpus Christi with the strength, courage, capacity, and resolve to affect positive change at the local, state, and national levels for our kids, for them to achieve the American dream in our democratic society. No more excuses. Our children come first, and we are here to do everything we can to ensure that our legislature does right by our kids in 2013. AFT stands for the American Federation of Teachers, but it also stands for all families together. Hi, and welcome to another CCAFT Legislative Report. I'd like to introduce to you the President of the Corpus Christi American Federation of Teachers, Ray McMurray. Hello, Ray.
Hi, how are you doing? Great to be back again.
Good to see you again.
Great to see you.
I'm Dr. Nancy Vetta. I'm Vice President of the Corpus Christi American Federation of Teachers, and I also teach at Mary Carroll High School in Corpus Christi. And we'd like to know a little bit about CCAFT. With whom are we affiliated, Ray? It just seems like everyone just throws CCAFT out there, and it's all local, but it's not. We're affiliated with major people, right?
Exactly. And as we come before the community here in Corpus Christi, I want to remind the viewers that AFT is the only teachers union affiliated with the AFL-CIO. I mean, we stand with electricians, with nurses, with steel workers, with carpenters, and every day we are building this nation. And it's important to remember that, you know, we believe that to a real degree, we are the defenders of the middle class. We are the promoters of American
because
families.
We are middle class. I mean, there are very few people who are wealthy, Ray.
Well,
that we're all in it together.
We are the defenders of the American dream. And, you know, we oppose outsourcing U.S. jobs. You know, we oppose government subsidies to corporations while they're making the biggest profits in history. While the average Texas family sits at the kitchen table, how are we going to pay our mortgage? How are we going to pay our utilities? How are we going to keep our health insurance?
How are we going to put food on the table?
And scratching our heads, you know, are our schools really funded adequately to educate our children? And those are the issues that, you know, this whole segment is about helping inform the public. We want to inform them about this legislative session, what's going on with the lawmaking in this session, and how are we taking care of our kids in public education.
Well, they're still being stubborn, I hear, in the legislature. But before we get into that segment of the show, I want to talk about a gal named Erica Vasquez. Now, why is that name important?
Well, congratulations to Erica Vasquez of Los Encinos Elementary. She was just awarded Teacher of the Year in CCI.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a great honor for her. I mean, any teacher that can be bestowed Teacher of the Year, I mean, that is a very that is a real honorable thing to carry. But one thing about Erica, yes, she is an AFT member, but when she received the award, she was adamant that she give credit to her staff, that she wouldn't be the teacher she is today if it, you know, wasn't for the incredible staff that she works with, helping her make her a better teacher. So,
and we're CCAFT proud of her. And
big time.
Didn't you take her some flowers or something like that?
Our staff went over. We had an after-school event at Los Encinos. We invited the entire staff. We had a cake that said Los Encinos Rocks.
Oh, that's cool.
We took her some beautiful flowers.
You didn't take a picture of that, did you?
We did.
You did?
Yeah, we took some photographs, and her picture's on our Facebook.
Yes, it is.
And it is on our website, ccaft.org. You can see Erica there in her bio. She has a very powerful story. She came to this country as an immigrant family, worked her way through school, and became a citizen and became a teacher, and every day she gives back to our kids in our community.
Talking about giving back, I saw a posting on Facebook by our good friend Dr. Isabella Raiza, who's a professor at Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi, and it was a picture of a teacher going through a box of what looked like backpacks. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more,
Well, I saw the
Ray?
photo, and it was a powerful image, and I think the image is actually an AFT member. It's a teacher in the community that was out on the weekend, on a Saturday, taking money out of her own pocket, always thinking about the kids and looking for ways that we can constantly better prepare our kids
Meet
for
the needs
success
of the
and
kids.
meet the needs of our students.
Yeah, she was actually buying a satchel or looking for satchels to help the kids in her school.
Right, and I think it's important that, our teachers are always using our own resources to ensure that our students have what they need.
Yeah, and no one recognizes that, it seems, or takes note that many of the people who are out there volunteering for nonprofit events are teachers. In fact, we participate in nonprofit and charitable events, don't we, as an organization?
We do. AFT, right now we have a message out there, and the show kind of embodies that. It's called All Families Together. And, we believe that inherently as public school employees, working with the youth in this community, we have an obligation to give back to the larger community as well. And, yesterday, for example, AFT, we attended the CASA 5K run, and we had a table set up similar to this one. It was covered with bottled waters. And as the runners came across the finish line, we were handing out waters to the children.
I heard that you saw some superheroes there, and we have a picture of those superheroes. But what kind of superheroes are they?
Well, they're AFT heroes, and
they're
we
members.
had some of our members who were running in the 5K event came up to us and said, thanks for being here. And they had great, it's a costume event, so you're running in your costume.
Yeah,
But
we're seeing the picture right now.
One of them said, I am a teacher. What's your superpower?
Oh, that is cool. That is cool.
I thought it was a cool outfit.
Yeah. So teachers are superheroes. Anyone who works in education is devoted to our kids is a superhero in my book, Ray.
You bet. But I want to give CASA credit because the court-appointed special advocate program in this community really is a volunteer program in itself, where people step up and provide a real voice for children who are going through the legal process and sometimes very tumultuous times.
And we participate in Habitat for Humanity too. We have some of our carpenters who work in CCISD and are members of AFT go out and help build houses, right?
Correct. On June the 1st, AFT will partner with Habitat for Humanity, and we will go to a family's home. And we are going to take our electrical workers who are union members. We're going to take even some of the IBEW apprentice program employee workers that are going through that program. We're going to take some of our carpenters that work for AFT and our regular school employees.
Well, give me a high five for that, Ray. We're doing really good work.
Well, this is the American dream to own your own home. And Habitat for Humanity across the country and even the world is out there providing what I call the American dream, home ownership. And many of these families have children that are going to end up in our public schools.
And talking about superheroes, Ray, who is the superhero of the year in the legislature right now?
Well, I think that we have to give a tremendous amount of credit to Abel Herrero.
Oh, yeah.
He has had a heroic session.
Absolutely.
And he is becoming the go-to guy around the state of Texas on education issues. I mean, the Texas Tribute media outlets from around the state are now quoting Abel Herrero. They're calling his office. They're asking him to be the spokesperson on education legislation. And I think the community needs to be aware of really how fortunate we are.
We're very fortunate with Abel Herrero. He's just such a kind, down-to-earth man who takes care of business and represents his constituency well.
I agree, and not only that, he's smart, he understands the issues, and he has an incredible work ethic. He's working those committees late into the evening and doing a great job for the Corpus Christi area.
Because he cares, Ray. There's a difference. There are politicians who run just for the sake of prestige or power, but Abel Herrero really cares for the community. He cares about our kids.
Right, and when you think about the word representative, I mean, I think we have a political system that's so inundated with money and commercialism and to think that we have someone who is a true representative of the people, I mean, that's a powerful thing, and I think the community cares, or they wouldn't have elected him. He went up against Connie Scott, who is a fabulous lady, but her voting record was wrong against our kids.
It was wrong against education,
against
our kids.
Students, and people want to know that their neighborhood schools are protected, that they're well funded, that they're safe, and Abel gets that. And we're just so lucky to have Abel Herrero in the legislature.
He listens, yes,
and
absolutely.
on April the 4th, he had a remarkable amendment. I mean, Abel was able to do something in the legislature that
historical.
I think that many people, if you would have said this is about to happen, most people said no way. I'll put money that can't happen. He was able to bring bipartisan support, Republicans and Democrats together, in an amendment on the budget bill. The budget bill is the funding source for all the other bills. So the funding bill is very important, the appropriations of money. And what he did is he got over 100 votes on an appropriation, on a budget, in the budget bill, in an amendment that said any voucher legislation that comes to our table will not be funded.
Yeah, and vouchers are private run private run schools that are funded with tax dollars, and that's what some people are wanting to push. But Abel stopped it in its tracks. Yes,
He
yes,
did.
thank you, Abel Herrero, Representative Abel Herrero.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. One of his quotes after getting the amendment passed, he said, "The need for fiscal responsibility and transparency has never been greater." And what he means is that we're not going to allow public dollars. I mean, these are dollars that you pay for public. I mean, these are taxpayer dollars that are then diverted to privatizers, to people that want to use the schools for profit. And Abel
Who
Herrero,
select their own, they decide on what students they want in their school, and if they don't like a student, they'll send them off. And they drain public schools from their funding and from
You
money.
bet. I mean, that's what it does. It takes money out of the public system, makes it harder for us to educate our own children, and it's got coded words like parent trigger and parent choice. But the reality is that once you turn these schools over to private operators, they're now run by a board of directors, not the parents, not the community, not a democratically elected school board. And Abel just said, no, we're not going to allow for-profit operators to come in and use public dollars and take our schools over. It's not going to happen.
For-profit operators, they're a bunch of yahoos wanting to make money on the backs of our children. That's what they are. And I would say something a little bit more harsher, but I'm not going to do it.
Well, but I
Because
think
we're on television.
well, I think at the end of the day, this was a stroke of genius by Abel Herrero, and it shows
Yeah, it
his
sure
commitment
was.
to public education. It shows his effectiveness as a leader to bring together Republicans and Democrats. And a lot of Republicans from rural towns voted with Abel, because in those small towns, the Republicans also know how vital the neighborhood school is to the community.
Right.
Their families work in the schools. They don't have these big for-profit privatized schools coming in trying to divert public money. The school still is the backbone of the community.
Well, public schools are an institution. Like a church and schools are the institutions of a community. Where else do people gather around
Well,
except in these two institutions?
I agree. It's the bedrock of protecting our democracy.
That's right.
And civic participation. So hats off to Abel Herrero. And
Hats
this
off,
community
thumbs up.
should really be appreciative and understanding and thankful for the work that Abel Herrero is doing.
We love you,
in the
Abel
House.
Herrero. We do.
And we're very lucky to have him back. So thank you very much, Abel.
Attack, attack, attack again on teachers, Ray. When is it going to stop? I think that when I retire, I will be able to retire till I'm 90 years old at this rate,
Well,
because of all the things that they're doing at the Texas legislature against teachers and pensions for teachers. What's going on?
Well, let's keep something in mind here. This is not just teachers.
That's right,
This
public school
impacts
employees.
administrators,
Oh, that's
custodians,
right.
bus. I mean, if you work in the public school system,
Superintendents.
this is an all-out kick the dog while it's down. You know, our class sizes are already up. Budgets have been gutted. Contracts have been gutted. I mean, they have made it easier to fire teachers, close schools down, especially in minority neighborhoods all across the country. I mean, there has been an orchestrated attack on public education, and now they want to go after the pensions that our school employees have earned. And I can tell you this would be illegal in the private sector on what these two bills would do. There
That's
are two
right.
bills, House Bill 1884 and Senate Bill 1458. The Senate bill is sponsored by Robert Duncan out of Lubbock, and these are companion bills making their way through the House on one side, the Senate on the other side. And I want to point out that these are both Republican-backed.
Yeah, I've been noticing
Republican-backed legislation.
the majority of people who are opposing teachers or hating on teachers, as some people say, are Republicans. Why is that, Ray?
Well, I don't know why, if all the educators out there that are voting Republican understand that in this current day climate, we are seeing a very orchestrated attack on public education by majority Republican
Well,
party.
when we say public education, we mean our children now.
Exactly. But in this TRS pension bill, I mean, this is something that is very damaging. This is going to be one of the most devastating attacks on pensions and retirement for health care. One of the things it does is that it raises the eligibility age for retirement to 62 years old. So now that you've put in your 30 years, you've paid into the pension, and you think that you're 58 years old and you think you're about to retire and get your benefits.
No.
So it's like, wait a minute, I thought I put in my time. And so they're going retroactively and taking benefits away from what's already been earned. And it's very disingenuous, the amendment that they put in this thing last week, is that they pitted retired teachers versus active teachers. They threw a little sweetener in, giving a bonus for retired teachers, thinking that might have some people go vote for it, all the while gutting the entire TRS retirement system moving forward for the next 100 years for everybody else.
Oh,
And so, I mean, that's the audacity to try to pit active teachers versus retired teachers.
Well, you see how they plan strategy, Ray. We think it isn't happening. We think it's not orchestrated, but it is. I mean, how else can you think this out?
The amendment would have still cut out 2/3 of the retirees. It would have benefited maybe 1/3 of retirees, and would have impacted over 200,000 public school employees in Texas by making them now wait to the age of 62 to get their full benefits, even though they're fully eligible for retirement at 55, 56, 57, 58. And it also then leaves them with only catastrophic health insurance under the TRS plan, again, until they're 62. So, you know, these are things that, I mean, we're really now messing with our Texas families. I mean, how many of us have families that work in the schools, that know somebody that works in the schools, and they go there and they do that job honestly and earnestly every day? And to take away already earned benefits really is just, you know, after we've, you know, imposed the high stakes testing and cut it the funding. I mean, it's just the audacity.
When is it going to stop? And I think that's why I think a lot of public school employees or a lot of people say, I don't like politics, but really it is what drives the government here in Texas. I mean, the money, the funding, the way our kids are tested through the STAR test now, and all of that is driven by politics.
It is, and you know, teachers can no longer, and public school employees and people that care about public education, we can no longer stick our head in the sand and just think that the state is going to take care of public education. They're reneging on their responsibility and even their constitutional obligation to adequately fund public education. And if we don't do something now, and I'm so proud of our AFT members, over the last month, we have sent 20,000 emails to legislators across the state saying, don't tinker with TRS. You know, all Texans are asking for is an honest way of life, an honest living for an honest day's work. And that's what our public school employees are doing every day. And to pull the rug out from underneath them is really something that we need to take note of. And we're getting to that point in the legislative session. We knew there was going to be an attack on TRS, but it's more developed than we've ever seen it. It's coming out of committee further than we've ever seen it. And we have to protect our defined benefit in our public pension. And it's not fair to take away already earned benefits. And we're hoping that people understand and get involved. Go to our website, www.ccaft.org. Go to the Texas AFT website, aft.org, texasaft.org, and you can participate in a pre-formed letter that's already there. You just click on the link and send it to your legislator.
That's great. I don't know how to explain to people how serious and devastating some of these bills that are going through the legislature are for public school employees and our children. I don't know how else to explain to those people who aren't participating in this process. How can we invite you? How can we tell you how serious this is for you and your pocketbook and your household and your families, right, Ray?
Yeah, it would be a devastating impact. Those that retire would lose 5% annually. Even though they're fully qualified for retirement, they would take away 5% annually until the age of 62.
And let's not forget that teachers who have been, or employees who have worked in the public sector or in the private sector and have gotten Social Security aren't eligible for those Social Security benefits. So, so anything that they earned then is not going to be given to them.
Exactly.
And so that it's...
Yeah, you've already lost your Social Security, even though you've paid into it. And so now to attack your TRS pension, which is all you've got left, I mean...
It makes me want to cry.
Well, we're not going to do that.
Well, I don't want to end up out on the streets, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's... I think that we're going to organize. I think that Chuy Hinojosa is going to do the responsible thing, and he is going to step up and block this. We have asked Senator Chuy Hinojosa. We've made it very clear to him that this piece of legislation is one of the most important things we need blocked in this session, and I think he is going to do that. I know he's been working hard this last week in the session to block this.
Now, Ray, the running theme in this legislative session has been, for us, at least in education, funding, full funding of public education. Can you give us an update on where we are on that right now? Right.
I mean, it is now early May. We're a large part of the way through the session. And all along, we've been telling the legislature, let's put the money back. I mean, as educators, we tell our kids every day, if you take something that you shouldn't, put it back.
And there's a lot of support for that. I mean, a majority of people in the state support that, but...
The polling has been done. Texas AFT has done elaborate polling, and even among Tea Partiers, 62% of the Tea Party said, put the money back. And so the legislature is really digging its heels in And we are doing a disservice to the future of Texas by not fully funding our schools. Even the courts have said that the way we fund our schools is unconstitutional.
Now, the one who's leading the pack in all this seems to be Governor Perry and his influence on some of the legislators at the state capitol. Is that right?
Oh, I would agree. Governor Perry has been adamant all along that
What's wrong with that man?
We cut public education, and I think he strong-armed many of our legislators to push an agenda that really wipes out our ability to adequately fund public education.
Well, I think it's time for a new governor, Ray.
Well, where we are right now, and certainly with a new governor, might help put us back, because we're already at the bottom. I mean, take any indicator in that you want to look at that would be a quality standard for public education, and Texas is at the bottom. So he thinks, I guess, that we can just cut our way all the way to number 50, in terms of being at the bottom of the entire country on student success. But where we are right now is that the legislature has actually moved to restore about 50% of the $5.4 billion that was cut in 2011. And I think few people understand really what the cuts meant in 2011, just how historically, negative they were. Since 1949, this is the first time that we didn't at least say, okay, how many new students are we going to have? We're not going to give you a raise, we're not going to give you more money, but we're going to at least put more money in the pot to deal with the 160,000 new students that you have coming into your doors every day. This was the first time since 1949 that in 2011 they said, not only are we going to cut $5.4 billion, the most we ever have, but we're not even going to give you enough money for enrollment growth. That had never happened before.
That sent us scurrying around of what to do in the classrooms, how to
Well, you're there every day. You know what it's done. I mean, you know the
It's
impact
hard,
of what
Ray.
you've seen.
It's hard, and it's hard to explain. And teachers aren't ones to complain or whine or go out in public and say, we need this. Like we started the segment of the show with a teacher going out and looking for backpacks for her children, her students. Now, how can people not see that teachers do these kinds of things every day? Providing food for the kids who don't have anything to eat at home, providing clothing when necessary, going out and being advocates for our children when they don't have anyone to advocate for them. So it's hard. And to feel like one is unappreciated in the classroom just makes it even worse. The stress, the sadness in our schools among the teachers is just incredible.
Yeah, the morale statewide and even around the nation, where there's been a corporate education reform movement pushed, and the gutting of our schools, the gutting of teacher contracts, where they're afraid to even speak up on the injustices of education.
Yeah, they're afraid of retaliation.
They're afraid of retaliation,
and that exists.
It does, and it's something that needs to be examined. And I think that's another plus on what the union does every day is to monitor these things. But what we're seeing is about maybe a 50 to 60% putback and restoration of the funding that was cut in 2011. So much of this session in 2013 is restore the funding, restore the funding, restore the funding. But this 60% is not good enough. I mean, if we don't put all of that money back, we're barely operating at funding levels that we were a decade ago.
Well, Ray, we've come to the end of another segment of our show, and
right.
I think that our conversations have been very enlightening, very forthright, and very serious, and I think we've been communicating well with the public about what's going on at our state legislature.
I think so, and I want to say thank you to the public for joining us once again. We're bringing to you what we feel like is relevant information about what's happening, and if somehow we could just get the people that blame big government and the people that are always blaming big corporations to understand that they're really one and the same. And if we want to move the middle class forward, we're going to have to step up and take care of our families and take care of public investments again.
Amen. Amen, Ray. Well, we're going to cut out to a video. What's this video about,
This
Ray?
is a great, I hope that the public watches this. This is produced by AFT, and it shows what really happened in Minneapolis. It's a true story of what can happen when parents and teachers work collaboratively together. Yeah, this year.
Okay.
And this is a true testament of the goodwill that can be done when parents and teachers work together. There's a strong effort out there by the privatizers to use the test to pit teachers and parents against each other to get to the goal of school closures, would not be authentic with the people about what's really happening. So how do we work with the community so that the teachers and the parents come together to solve our public education problems together?
Great. Let's cut to that video now. Thank you, Ray.
Union Solutions. Here we go.
Something's happening in American education. It's not about students, teachers, parents, or even learning itself. It's about politics and playing the blame game. Instead of insisting that all schools and all students have the resources, time, and support they need, deep-pocketed reformers have proclaimed that competition will improve school quality. They declare, if schools struggle, just close them and open better ones. They ignore devastating budget cuts to our schools and the poverty and hunger that hold back students every day. They insist that lazy teachers protected by unions are the main obstacle to better schools and put their energy into making it easier to fire them. Right-leaning funders and think tanks put their considerable resources behind parent trigger laws that force schools to close their doors, fire their staff, or transfer public schools to private managers. But these policies don't empower parents, and these laws won't improve teaching and learning. The countries whose school systems we admire, like Finland, Singapore, and South Korea, give extra resources to the most struggling schools. Their teachers are well-trained, well-respected, and organized into strong unions. School reform shouldn't pit parents and teachers against each other. In one Twin Cities community, parents understood this. They knew they could raise money from big foundations by saying they were going to focus on simply getting rid of ineffective teachers. But these parents hadn't actually encountered many teachers who didn't care about their kids, and they understood that real improvement needed frontline teachers in classrooms to carry it out. So instead, they decided to build relationships with teachers and collaborate to improve schools. Here's how they did it. In fall 2010, the Minneapolis Public Schools announced plans to close North High School because of under-enrollment. North had been a thriving community institution with well-respected arts and science programs on the city's largely African-American North Side. Organized parent and community groups like Minnesota Neighborhoods for Change, or NOC, understood how important North High was to the North Side community. The Minneapolis Federation of Teachers joined with NOC and other community, parent, and alumni groups to form the North High Community Coalition to fight against closure and save the school. Together, they packed board meetings, knocked on hundreds of doors, and made thousands of phone calls to build grassroots support to overturn the closure decision. Not only did North High remain open, but additional resources were invested in redesigning the school to boost student achievement. This fall, the new community-designed North Academy for Arts and Communication opened with 100 freshmen. But that wasn't the end of NOC's interest in education. In 2011, NOC designed a survey to ask parents what they wanted in their schools and what they thought about school and teacher quality. Both the Minneapolis and St. Paul Federations of Teachers helped NOC fund a massive survey collection drive. NOC members learned that, despite all the criticism of teachers they'd been hearing, parents in the Twin Cities gave their kids' teachers high marks, about a B+ on average. Hundreds of parents were surveyed. Only 1% gave their kids' teacher a failing grade. It turned out that parents weren't dissatisfied with their children's teachers. Instead, they were upset about how many children were packed into classrooms. They also wanted more time for teachers and parents to communicate. Local teachers wanted to lower class size too, so they could know their students better and teach more effectively. The St. Paul Federation of Teachers used the parent survey results to help negotiate a new contract. They invited NOC parents to attend the bargaining sessions. This had never been done before. By sitting at the bargaining table, parents deepened their understanding of education policy. The bargaining process also let parents and teachers see each other as real people with a shared commitment to kids. Once the negotiations concluded, the new contract lowered class sizes and allocated funding for teachers to visit families at home. Instead of pointing fingers and blaming each other, NOC's parents built relationships with teachers and began to work collaboratively. Across the nation, organized parents and teachers like these are working together to improve their schools. As opposed to top-down reforms that pit parents against teachers, their efforts are creating a cycle of involvement, improvement, and renewed investment.